had to find my lighter. What's up, guys? Hopefully y'all can hear me. And this badass violin music. Anyways, so tonight we are, what the title says, checking the frequency. So how you guys doing? You guys surviving? Look, if you feel like you're dying, you're right on point. You're right on target. And I'm here to tell you that. Because that in between of that uncertainty of what you know to be true within yourself versus what the hell you're doing in your life, it's like, ugh, how you doing, Super Seer? I like your name. Sup? I guess not my dear, my paycheck. Can I say it that way? Oh man, no, I'm just kidding. So anyways, tonight we're checking frequency. Let me get something for y'all. All right, I got a number for you guys. I know you guys like numbers because this is a good way that the Most High clarifies things, gives us the extra oomph we need. And a lot of people will say that's not numerology, blah blah. I mean, if you're not reading your word. I mean, if you read the word, if you want to be technical, it's based off numbers, like a clock. You know how it has a double decimal there or whatever? I mean, that's kind of bizarre, right? So the number today is 1515. Is an incredible positive number, signifying that you're about to experience changes in your life that will lead you to a better path. Represents transformation, personal growth, and the courage to embrace change. It's very scary when we are experiencing change, whether that be good or bad. You might perceive it as bad, but it's really for your good. Look, anything that you could think that has ever went wrong in your life up to this point, God is about to Missy Elliott? I put my thing down, flip it and reverse it. That's all I hear when I think about that verse that God says, what they will use for evil, he will flip around and turn it for your good every single time. I'm a witness. So that is to give you encouragement. If I can do it, anybody can, right? That's the way I look at it. So, like if you're experiencing rejection, that's God's protection. And even if it hurts, because some of you guys have had a heart posture of Christ himself. Not to sound blasphemous, I'm saying this in a way that hopefully you can interpret it like you didn't let the world fully take that last hope you had of genuine connection, genuine love, not what you can gain off a person or what they can gain off you, just genuine human being connection, just like two turtles when they meet in the wilderness, right? A lot of you guys still have that. That is the essence of mother and father. Who's mom? Who is mom? We have to have a mom, right? Mother Earth is the mom. Father is the Most High. And it's all in scripture, right? I mean, that's how it was given to me. Glory be to God. Because I didn't understand it. I had no idea what the hell was going on. And so the more I asked, the more I received all this knowledge the way I could understand it, right? And you could be like, what is she even talking about? I'm talking about just knowing that you have been set aside for a time such as this, as crazy as the world is getting. That you're not above, you're not below, you're just set aside and hidden in plain sight. And a lot of you people don't know who you are yet. And that is the whole catch-22 of it all. Everybody around you will know who you are before you do. So here I am, abracadabra, to fast track you into your calling. Because I almost labeled this, it's time to come home. Let's go home. It's time to go home. So a lot of you people, you ever feel that feeling of agonizing of pain, like you just want to go home, you just don't know where that's at, or am I alone with that? That's something that I've felt periodically through my life, right? Which, of course, we can always go back on childhood trauma. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about within your soul type thing. I've traveled a lot of different places, and you know what I always found? the hell of it all was me. The one in the reflection in the mirror. That's what I always ran fast as I could, trying to escape or go home. But what did I end up finding? Me, the whole time. So what do you do when you absolutely can't stand that person in the mirror? Do you turn to your AI quality thing? What do you do to really be fulfilled, to know that you are you and you are in love with you? Because look, you fake it till you make it when it comes to this stuff. As a man thinketh in his heart, so he shall be. So if you think you're a POS or lazy, or even if you're arrogant, a man not think more haughty of himself than what he actually is. Nobody likes an arrogant ass, right? But don't ever think too low of yourself than what you really are. Because that right there is like the whole reasoning behind their humiliation rituals and whatever else you may experience. And this might even be new knowledge to you, but if you think back on your life, I'm just putting it in terms for you to comprehend what the hell happened and why it happened, because you are a child of God. You were bought with a price. Do you understand what that means? No diamonds, no silver, no gold, no amount of any material that this world has to offer can equal to the equivalent of you. Little old you. Sitting in your mom's basement, you. I'm telling you this because this is the truth that the world don't want you to know. There's reasons why some of you guys can't work 9 to 5s, because you are a child of God. And God doesn't, what does he say? He gives, people want to discredit God all day, but look at what he stands for. Why would you want to do that? You're effing yourself in the long run, because he's what? Given the ability, he's given you the ability to create wealth for your own self. That might be making knives. That might be doing whatever the hell you like to do. You just never had the concrete foundation to develop off of. Maybe it's that spouse that won't quit the bitching spirit. Tell her to get rid, or him, he or she, to get rid of the nagging spirit. That's why I like to call it the bitching spirit. It happens to me, I think it happens to all women, all men too. Let's get that straight. But you got to look at your foundation. What is building you? Is it an abusive spouse? Is it a narcissistic parent? What is building you? Is it something solid? Because if it's not something solid, your inner you is always it's gonna know, first of all, and second of all, you're gonna get blown down after every little storm that comes your way. That's the first negative comment you receive, that you wanna hone into the negative. What about all the positive that people's ever had to say about you, yet you wanna cling to the negative and then stop? You have to get, and this is for somebody else. It maybe just entered the chat. I don't know. But this is like off topic, but for somebody. You have got to let God form you in the incubator before he can put you into what he's promised you. He's promised you some type of influence. Your heart isn't ready. Your heart isn't ready. That's why he's never, boom, gave it to you. Because he has to test you. He has to get you built up in order to be put out there, because he knows your heart. He knows how easily your heart can be broken. And that's why a lot of stuff's hidden from you, as far as the powers that are trying to be still. And the way they can use the people we love the most to hurt us. But then once you develop that high level, high ancient maturity that one could get to, that's when you know, forgive them, Father, for they not know what they do. As they're crucifying you to the cross, metaphorically speaking. I'm trying to get you closer to your Messiah. I'm not trying to put blasphemy in the air. You have to understand why life's been so damn hard on you, particularly. It's because you have the Spirit of the living God within you. We all don't have it. There are children of hell. That's scripture-based too. I can't throw out the Ephesians 9:29. I can't do all that. But if you Googled it, it'd be in there, right? Just because some of it was written on my heart. Some of the stuff I was saying before I ever knew it was wrote down. And that's what brought me back to the truth for myself, right? But it had to be broken down in such a weird way for my 21st century mind to understand, for me to even be able to incorporate worshiping within my day. Worshiping? What does that mean? God told me it's like worshiping. You're sending warships, like spaceships. But you were worshiping for him, right? He had to break this stuff down to me in a way that just my spirit could understand, because I'm like a death before dishonor type of person, right? And I'm like, this stuff, you pray, people, I'm about to get evicted, pray for me. Well, that don't help. Like that's what I was having this, conflict with what was going on inside of me with God, right? And he labeled it, he made it so just distinct for me to understand, I guess, to relay to some of you guys, because some of you guys might feel the same way, but you never couldn't interpret God or what they try to, I'm not talking about religion, first of all. I'm talking about your manufacturer. And maybe you couldn't incorporate it with yourself because of that. His spirit that is within you, but you didn't know. If you don't know, then that makes you an easy target for them to constantly dick you around till next thing you know, decades have gone by and you've wasted your prime years on some capital C, whether that be male or female. Okay? I know God doesn't favor divorces or things like that, but some of you guys are unequally yoked and it's kept you bound for years because of fear of change. Did you hear the 1515 message? It represents transformation, personal growth, and the courage to embrace change. That courage to embrace that loneliness or that isolation that you have been called to in order to get you catapulted to your God-given calling. Look, the ants, they all have a purpose, right? They're all down there and they just know what to do. They don't have anybody with a microphone telling who is who. They automatically know what to do. How come we don't know? We're going by with what mom and dad said. Well, mom and dad are miserable. Mom and dad are divorced. Mom and dad ain't know where I want to be. So why are we following their blueprint? We got to be the trailblazer and follow God's script because they didn't know. If they knew, they didn't have this information. We have information now being shared on a rampage. You know what I mean? I hope I have a good live connection. Let me see. Probably don't. What the hell? I'll be pissed if I don't, because I've been just free flowing. Hopefully I got a good connection. Let me see here. If I don't, because I've been just free flowing. Hopefully I got a good connection. Let me see here. Because I put this on my my YouTube. Hold on, let me get something to wipe my damn mirror off. I guess my hands. I ain't got it on. It's nasty. Amber, can you hear me? Because it's showing dead zone on my side, which it does that. That's what happened. That's another thing, guys. Those you guys that are making content and you don't see them numbers, that's because you are a true anointed person, okay? And I'm not saying that because mirroring myself. I'm saying that as that's the way I view others, right? Like when I'm getting my spirit fed through others, I'm not saying that you can't go to the sky is the limit top with the Most High. I'm saying when it's information that isn't mainstream, you got to look at the numbers. And are they paid? Are they paid promotions? Look at their numbers. Quit buying into what is trending, because it's trending a lot of people into a hellhole. Worse than what we've already been born into. If that makes sense. Exposed! Like that one girl says. That's what my drink's called. I ain't advertising. Thank you so much, Amber. I appreciate that so much. Just a simple that. You know how hard it is for some people to just say that? Dang. And then it makes me feel like I got a dead zone. So, I'll quit talking or whatever. Look, only if it's you that I reach tonight, it's worth $1 million to God. Because you are bought with a price that is way more than any silver or gold or diamonds. Like I said at the beginning, no material can pay for what God's put in you because it's a part of Him. And Mother Earth has a big memory of you and your bloodline. And He's chosen you to break the curses from your bloodline because some shit your ancestors may have done that were detestable to God. Okay, that's why a lot of illnesses fall on our bloodlines. You go to the doctor, they ask you if certain thing, does diseases that hit your body run in the bloodline. A lot of people ask, if your God's real, then why does this happen? You got to understand your God's characteristics, and you got to understand how he is about the generational curses. And I can pull this up right here, right now. I mean, it's unbelievable how just a little bit of knowledge gets people destroyed, and why their memory is no more here on the earth. I mean, what a scary thought, right? The earth shall remember you no more. Like, I mean, unless that's what you want. Unless that's what it needs. God, make this all you and none of me. Don't let my cardinal being get in the way of your message, Lord. Because it does sometimes. Okay. So I just was taken to the end of Job, okay? And some of this stuff I've highlighted and underlined and didn't even read it yet, because I knew in the future it would be for somebody, or it would land on what I'm speaking about. That's how the Holy Spirit moves. If you're really working in your purpose, things shouldn't be so hard. Things things will just flow. And the more you do it, the more you'll know. That way you won't quit second guessing yourself and what's going on inside of you, or like that fear of being the false prophet or being the false. That is a healthy fear. You have the fear of the Most High. That's why you have those doubts. And that's a great thing. Some people are out here talking left and right like they know what they're talking about, and they never stop to think, what if I'm just doing this for clout? What if I'm just doing, no, you're doing it for the salvation. And so to break your bloodline free from the damnation that they've accidentally fell into. Even by linking up with people that have done, they sacrifice to what are no gods. You see what I'm saying? Like in the caves, they sacrificed to what are no gods. And it made their whole bloodline just distorted, like reprobates. They don't know any better. Sodom and Gomorrah type stuff. So here at the end. Okay, I'm just going to go with flow. Then Job answered the Lord and said, I know that you can do all things, and that no purpose of yours can be thwarted. Excuse me if I'm not pronouncing that right. Who is this that hides counsel without knowledge? Therefore I have uttered what I did not understand. Do you hear this? What I was just saying, how it lands with what I was just saying? This is a whole something for somebody to show you how easy it should be for you to do this work and quit second guessing yourself. Let me keep going. Therefore I uttered what I did not understand, things too wonderful for me, which I did not know. Hear, and I will speak. I will question you, and I will make it known to me. And I will make you, and you make it known to me. Let me do this again. Then Job answered the Lord and said, I know that you can do all things, and that no purpose of yours can be thwarted. I think I said that right. Thwarted. I've never heard that or said that word in my life. So if you know the definition, put it in the chat if you could. Who is this that hides counsel without knowledge? Therefore I have uttered what I did not understand, things too wonderful for me, which I did not know. Hear, and I will speak. I will question you, and you make it known to me. I have heard of you by hearing of the ear, but now my eye sees you. Therefore I despise myself, and I repent in dust and ashes. After the Lord had spoken these words to Job, that you guys know what happened to Job. Job went through hell and back, but he didn't. Look, even his spouse was saying, how are you not going to deny God now? He done killed all your kids, burnt all your flock, burnt all your houses down. You literally have nothing but ash. How can you stand firm in your God now? I'm paraphrasing, guys. This is kind of the story. And he fell to the ground, and he rips his shirt off, and he still didn't deny God, regardless of all the shit like he went through. He literally had boils coming out all over his face, his head. Like, this guy was going through it. But with what that little piece of scripture, and with what I was saying, how people don't understand the things that they're really talking about. Who is this that hides counsel without knowledge? That's why you got to always take things up with God. this isn't a joke, guys. This isn't something that you're gonna, you might be able to monetize or something now, but like this life is not very long. And some of you guys don't take that into account when you're talking about things that you may not understand fully. And this could go for me too. Anybody. Like, people just don't understand how God can make this place desolate like he did Egypt. And that's another thing I want one of you guys to understand. You put a lot of your faith in the Egyptians, okay? Look what happened. That's all I'm saying. Because I've trust me, I know I've seen it since I was a kid in my mind's eye. I know all about it. I can tell you what it was for. I can tell you what's underneath it. I don't know how I know. I just know, okay? But look at what happened. Look at what happened. That's all I'm saying. That's what's kept me from going that route. And the other, it's probably been a month or two ago, I woke up. I don't remember the dream, but I woke up to God's, like, I don't know if it was his audible voice or what, but it was like a yell. Don't forget the one who delivered you from the Roman gods. And I was like, wow, what the heck does this mean? So I'm doing all this research and I'm like, I can't forget, where I was raised from. Because the more knowledge you seek, the more knowledge becomes available to you. And then you decide to go down but you got to understand, what avenue are you choosing? Are you choosing God's will? Or are you choosing your will? That's fine. Whatever you choose is up to you. Hey, Maria, how you doing? I hope I have a good connection with you guys. Because, guys, there's been many times that and I still think this, and I'm just going to confess, all right? I still feel like a lot of the Messiah, it was a big teaching on each and every one of our behalves. It wasn't for us to just worship. It was something for us to, like, metaphorically become, dying of ourself, right? Like, of our old self, dying of our flesh, dying of the habitual sinner, dying to the one that wants to age your body like a dog because you want to act like one, because we were conditioned that way. We were all born in the Matrix doing the same shit. So, people can act holier than thou all they want. There's always been that time where you regret such and such moments of your life, right? So that's what I mean with you have to be born again, like, for real, follow that whole path, like, mentally, not physically, but I mean, in a way, like, carry your cross and follow me, but not in a way that's like religion based. I don't feel like you have to do it to get to heaven. I don't really know much about that. Like, I'm not too schooled on that from what my inner belief says. Like, you know what I mean? I can't sit here and tell you something that I don't fully have faith in or believe, right? And, like, I think, God, why would you create something like so immaculate as a human brain? It has a human brain and our nervous system, the way my hands moving without me even thinking about it. Like, that's pretty intelligent, right? Just for us to suffer till death, just to be in this, like, la la land. I know that kind of might sound, I'm telling you transparency within my own brain, right? Without me feeling like I'm going to be condemned for asking these questions. Because I never felt like God would ever get mad at me for any question I ever asked, because it was always with honest intent and curiosity, and the fact that I knew I couldn't get it from those around me. The elders didn't know. Like, they could say this or that, but I knew in my soul, like, that didn't feel right. Like, I was told I was a Wiccan for years, and I didn't even know what the hell that was. Nobody wanted to show me any groundwork. So, as this hunger persisted, I studied, and that's when I cracked the whole code on things I can't even talk about publicly, because they will really shut this down. They've done it before, and it's because of how gut-wrenching true it is, and how it's condemning everyday people's souls because they don't see the mockery that they're worshiping every Sunday. And I'm not saying just Christianity, or I'm speaking on behalf of the, like, it's like a satanic cover-up. He came off of it. He came off of the cross. And that's all I know when I walk in there and I see that thing. And, like, I was raised that way, right? I was raised as Catholic. That's what I was told. I never went to church. Never knew anything about Christ. Never knew nothing about the Holy Bible. I resented it. I thought, how dare you sit up on my shelf from the jail cell? You know, it's where it came from. The same one. Back when I was like 19. It's missing the last 2 pages of Revelation. To those you know, no. Wow. And, you know, glory be to God for having mercy on me for being so unclean. And I'm still not blemish free. I mean, how could you be in a world so full of hate and judgment, unrighteous judgment at that, you know? No understanding or compassion to just the what ifs. You know, they'll say, who does she think she is? Or who does he think he is trying to better their life? That's so-and-so's son or daughter. Christ was born of the carpenter's boy and Mary. Y'all know what they said about Mary. And he still was the trailblazer that he needed to be for God. He had 12 followers, and look at what they did. They ravished his show down. But look, it all was working for his good. That's what I'm saying. Anything that the enemy could do, God is going to flip that thing in reverse for your good. Like, the Messiah had to be sold out by Judas, or it wouldn't have happened the way that it happened. To keep us sane during times like these. Like, I'm not saying I don't believe in Christ when I'm telling you this open-mindedness that I have with God with these questions, because I do. That's my rock. My cornerstone. It always will be. It always has been. It's what's within. Nobody had to teach me this. But my parents, they didn't have it. Those around me didn't have those morals or that honesty, or like, I would ask questions and get misguided information on purpose. And I didn't understand that the questions I was asking was above their pay grade. I didn't know. So knowing that now, I seek all my answers from God, because I know He isn't going to dick me around with the answers or try to get me to fail because of my naivety, if that's a word. Me being naive, you know? A lot of things that's happened to me in my life, I look back and I wonder, where the hell were the adults? Like, they were all around, but I would never let something like that happen to any child. Like, let alone, you know what I mean? Regardless. Even if it was my kid doing the harm, I would shut it down. It wouldn't happen. Makes you wonder, you know? Of how brilliant your brain really is, and that those around you just didn't want you to know it. And if you would shut the hell up, they could go ahead and shine in their phony light. And God's saying, no, not this time, because I put my words in their mouth. And He needs you to be solid first before He can give you that exposure, because you'll hone in on that negative comment. Out of the 20 million good ones, you'll be sticking to the Caitlyn Jenner, like they called me. You know what I mean? Like, that God had to prepare me for all that stuff, because that would have hurt my feelings, right? Before. Now, I'm glad you know my name. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't affect me like it used to, but God had to put me in the furnace of affliction first before I was ready for any of this stuff. And that's what you are waiting on, some of you guys that are waiting for this grand introduction of what God is doing new in this hour. And what He's doing now is getting that one out of the 99. Regardless if you got, it doesn't matter what it is or your history. The way I look at it is, the worse of your history, the bigger the calling. Because you've been there and you've done it. You know. There's reasons why you've endured what you've endured and still have your right frame of mind and still didn't deny him, like Job. Job was solid. His own wife, he was unequally yoked. You're gonna curse your God now? Look at all the shit he's done to us. You know what I mean? And he should have got rid of her ass to begin with, because of her lack of faith, her lack of vision, her lack of resilience, of somebody going through the furnace of affliction and the testing that you must go through in order to receive that favor that Job has, right? In the book. He got unbelievable favor after that. But what happened? Satan had to ask permission first. God knew. Yeah, he put him through hell, all right, but he wasn't allowed to touch a hair on his head. And he multiplied everything times however many in the Bible, right? That's hard when you lose your children or you bury your own child. That's hard. I remember my dad, when my sister died, I remember him, we were on the beach after she died, and it was storming real bad out that day, and he was standing up on the pier and he was cussing God out, and it makes me want to cry because it's just such a real story. Because of my sister got killed, and I just remember praying to God to forgive him for doing that. But how did I know? There's reasons how I knew. It's like I was here to give him grace when he couldn't give it to himself. I don't know. Because he was unfair to me a lot after that. And I still was able to lead him to forgiving himself as I got older, with just letting him know that he did the best he could with what he knew. And considering what happened, I can put myself in his shoes. My daughter, she was full of shit, literally, and couldn't hold down no food, right? Well, I didn't know she was full of shit. It was scaring the hell out of me. I didn't know what was wrong with her. So I had her at the same hospital that my sister went to after the accident, right? Well, my dad was there with me, and he was just real pale to the face, and he told me, he said they came in through them doors, and he didn't know. He told himself that there's no way that was her because of the severity it was, right? He thought it was like a boo-boo. Everything was going to be all right. It was her, and it wasn't, okay? And seeing my dad go through that was, and how everybody it was right Thanksgiving was, they pronounced her dead on the 24th happened on the day of the accident, and Thanksgiving fell on that next day. And I remember thinking, how are you people still celebrating? How's the mail still running? Everything should have just been still for a minute. But that church, so I went there years later, after addiction and all kinds of hell fell on my tent, my dwelling, right? And a lot of it was sown in by elders. Wasn't like I went running for that. It was put in my face. If God knew, who knows if they knew what they were doing or not. I mean, I'd say so. I mean, my 2 cents, I wouldn't do that to my child, but that's just me. Because I know the imprisonment that it puts you in, but maybe they didn't know. I don't know. But that church I went to, the same one that held her funeral, and because I was waiting tables, and I was young, I was 19, and I was really done, guys. I had it all planned out, how this was going to work, and how I wasn't going to reside here on planet Earth anymore, because I was tired of being in that. I was in addiction really bad, and I just didn't want to be there anymore. I was willing to do anything to get out of it, including get the hell out of this planet, right? But it was a father, right, with the thing, the collar, the black with the collar. And they took forever. It was closing time, right? I just wanted to close and get the hell out of the restaurant. And they didn't leave no tip, but they left the brochure with and it was the church that my sister's funeral was in. And I'm like, maybe this is a sign, not to do it, to hold on a little bit, right? to make an appointment with this guy and see if he can help me. And I'm just telling you how they scatter the sheep. Woe to this organization, man, because I can only imagine what they've done to other innocent people that don't have a voice or that might have listened to his advice, because it was just detestable, the things. I went out of there crying, and it was just ridiculous, because he said, my grandma donated her land it was right next door to this, like, church, there, like, the S was on the chimney, like, it was family heirloom deal, like, the religion was thick in the bloodline, and it was like I was absolutely nothing to this guy, and it wasn't in, like, it wasn't public. It was just me and him in his office, and all I did was confess I confessed to the things that I didn't even want to be true. And he looked at me like I was like a German cockroach that needed to be squashed quickly and eliminated, and said that I would never be a true religious person that he was. And he asked me if I had a boyfriend, and I told him yeah. And then he told me I was probably a prostitute and XYZ. Oh, I mean, everything. And when I'm walking into this church, I'm seeing my sister's funeral. I was 7 years old, and I'm seeing her casket and everything. And I'm thinking, this guy's going to help me. He's going to steer me. He's going to pray for me. Something's going to happen because of the brochure, right? This was like a week after that when I finally got in to see this guy. And I mean, when I stood up from his desk, I told him, I said, I didn't ask you for money. I didn't ask you for anything. I just wanted you to pray for me. And he looked at me like I should be extinguished. And I said, I did say some pretty foul things to him and I thought I'd never get the audacity to take myself out because of this son of a bitch. That's what I'm saying. Everything that God, like the enemy, will use to try to hurt you or just crush you, God will turn around and flip it, and you're good. I thought I wouldn't give you the satisfaction of hurting myself, you freaking chomo, And I left out of there crying my ass off. But I didn't blame God for it. Hell, I just wanted the mailman to quit running for a day. And for the guy to, pray for me or give me some direction on the nightmare I had become. It wasn't like I, grew up and wanted to be that person. It wasn't like that. And it just was so backwards. And it really effed with my head with the whole God thing for a long time. Like, I didn't want, like, I was so church hurt. It was unbelievable. And like the same boyfriend that I'm talking about, years later, he ends up being a monster and a half. And the shit he would do Saturday and then make me go and take part in Sunday church, I hated it. And I hated the people in there. I thought, you people have no idea what the hell I just went through last night, and here you are all happy. And it was just that victim mode and that vengeance is like, woe is me, How could you let this happen to me, God? That's what was my question. Never blame the person or the situation. It was always God. God, how could you let this happen to me? And now he says, I didn't let it happen to you. First of all, people have free will. So what happened, but I kept you. You were able to keep yourself through it. Despite how many times you cussed me out, just like my dad did that day on the pier. I did it too. Oh, thank you. Thank you. That makes me want to cry, Maria, because I'm sensitive right now. I'm being vulnerable with you guys. Just to let you guys know that, man, church hurt is a real thing, but it don't mean that God's not real or he condemns you the same way mankind can. That guy probably saw the anointing on my life and thought if I could get her to take herself out now, then we wouldn't have nothing to worry about. This was over 10 years ago, guys. And all the hell I endured since that time. Oh my God, it's a miracle I'm alive. just from my own hand, because I didn't understand. I didn't understand why I was the reject, or, you know, and nobody ever showed compassion. They just threw it up in my face. But it showed me who I was. Like, well, there must be significance to this horrible person that they say I am, because I haven't hurt, you know, you know what you do. You know what you've been through. Don't let these people shake you out of your position, man. Like, that person had high authority in my eyes back then. Just like when I went to have an abortion. Because I was in ruins. I mean, I wasn't in no place. I didn't want to have I thought it was my choice. But, Lord to God, it didn't happen. And I'm not saying, if you did ever do something like that, give yourself grace. Because God needs you to understand that you didn't know what the deal was. You were so much in the world. If you did do that with one of your seeds, just know that, you know, he definitely gives grace for that, because you didn't know. That lack of knowing can really F your life up. Let's say I would have did it. I wouldn't be alive, because I would have self-destructed. So, despite how shitty of a situation I was in, like, guys, I didn't have nowhere to go. Like, I didn't want to have addicted baby. You know what I mean? Like, that was just something that I just wasn't going to allow. But I had to put my own ass to the side, because I couldn't do it. Because her dad was all against it, and, you know, he went to jail for like a suspended license or something. I thought, and I'm just being transparent, I thought, I can do it right now. I can squeeze it in and just tell him I lost it, you know? And I walked into that place, and I ran out of there puking and crying and carrying on. They were calling me a whore and everything else outside the damn building. It was horrible. And it was like they had no idea the damn circumstances. And it wasn't saying that was a cosign. I'm just saying people have no idea what kind of decision that takes when you really have true feelings of what another human being's life may turn out to be like because of you or whatever. Like, I remember being a kid thinking, I'll never let my kid go through this shit. Well, I kept my word, thank God, but I didn't think I could, not at the time. Not during contraception. I thought, there's no way in hell that this, you know, I thought it was like a cum-wad or something. It wasn't happening. But I'm so glad it did, because I wouldn't have the experience. I wouldn't know so much in depth of the indoctrination of why the doctors are so weird. Things like that. Like, there's so much that I would have missed. That incarceration that I went through during that time, because I was a flight risk or whatever. Like, who wouldn't be? Plus, I was a functioning citizen. I'm not like a convicted felon or anything like that. I was, I just went AWOL for a few years. Big deal. But he made me, give birth in the penitentiary. So that was really an experience to live to tell, because they sure as hell didn't treat me like a human. Woe is you in the chains. And the reason I was even in there is even funnier. Like, who... I hate even being this transparent on here, but it's like, my charges were so stupid. It was like a Joseph almost, like a setup upon setup, but it devalued me internally, even as a mother. I hated to tell her that. I cried, and I even answered. I said, "Do you hate me now?" And she said, "No." She said, "You're my mom. Like, you're perfect, duh." And it was funny, because I was just really... I didn't want nobody else to tell her. You know what I mean? I wanted to be the one to tell her, like, yeah, you were born in the pen. Sorry, kid. It wasn't my, like, literally, I would have rather not have did that, but, it caught up to me right at that time for the experience. But, she said, "No, you're my mom. Like, there could be no fault in you because you're my mom." It's just hilarious. So let's say I would have went through with that appointment, right? It would have just it would have self-condemned me even more. To the point where I wouldn't have been able to take it. just because of the smell of the place. It was bad, guys. It was evil. And I'm not saying this to offend anybody or to trigger anybody, because God, my heart goes out to you if something like that did like happen in your life. If you're a female, I can only imagine, especially if you have regret. You just understand that not knowing, you say, God, take my ignorance into account when you are confessing that, and that weight will be lifted off you spiritually. We can't have you at your best, highest, most God-given potential hanging on to weight that when you didn't know. Give yourself grace, because God is. God, I didn't know that this was like that, Forgive yourself, whether you might not even think about it. Forgive yourself, because that's in your subconscious. That's your body. You have a body, you have instincts, just like the lion. So things like that, your body could be holding on to that weight of, I did that because of the finances or for this or that. It doesn't matter the reason. You even having any type of guilt is a freaking blessing. Do you know how many people do it on purpose? Think of it that way. And a lot of people that do it, that don't even know what the deal is for real spiritually, they have no idea what is going on as far as the Moloch. That is modern day. You were sacrificing things to what is no gods. But you don't think of it that way, because we've all been raised in the matrix, the four walls of the education system, the four walls of the prison, damn it. What makes it any different? I went to the school's, the parent-teacher conference thing, and I thought, this place reminds me of the Joint. I'm ready to get the hell out of here. And I was walking down through there, and I was just looking at the pictures of, people. And I said, you watch out for his ass and, her ass. Or and my kid's like, Mom. I'm like, I'm serious. I can tell by their eyes. Some of these people don't belong in these schools, and it ain't just men. There was more women that I seen with that in them than the men. And that's even scarier. But what do? When it's like daycare, basically. You can't just that's when you got to have trust and faith in God. He'll work everything out. Especially if you're unplugging and just fully diving in to say, hey, I'm going to just trust you, God, on this one, to provide really like you do for the birds and the bees. Like you provide for the birds. He's trying to get you into that your instinctual body mode, so you can provide for yourself, just like the birds do. And the turtle goes back, the sea turtle, right? The magnitude of the earth tells that turtle's body to go home to lay its eggs, right? It's a magnetic Mother Nature pull. We are disconnected from our purpose, our knowing of being human in this instinctual body versus being programmed to be what Moses saved the Israelites from. And if you can pick up what I'm putting down, then you have the ability. Your nervous system has the ability to digest it, because this stuff can really freak people out or mess your nervous system up, make you want to go, or it could make you want to attack. You just never know when you're dealing with certain people. If they don't know, they could want to just, who is that? And they need to be destroyed quickly. But it's just not their time. They'll get it when their body, their nervous system can handle it. Because this shit can shock the hell out of anybody. God told me, he said, I got to give it to you slowly, because it can kill you, this information. Like, it can put your body into a shock that I guess would give me a heart attack or something. I don't know. I didn't let it keep going, because I wanted to know. It all began with, God, if you're real, show me. That's all. And be careful if you ever do that, because your socks will get blown off. And it all started with me begging for change on the freaking ground. screaming, begging. I didn't know if anything was listening or not. And even like throughout all these years of me dying to self, rebirthing, transforming, getting knocked back down. Righteous man falls 7 times, but we stand again. It's a part of it. Throughout all that, he kept bringing it to my memory. Do you remember that time you asked me, were begging me, pulling your own hair out of your head for change, for literal physical change within my life? And I start crying, because it's all coming to my mind like a thought. And I was like, I do remember that. I just didn't know you were listening. I didn't know he was listening. I didn't know anything was listening. I was just so desperate. I was calling to anything because I just was so miserable within my life. And I knew that something else had a hold of me that wasn't me. But God does not say, I'm not going to use you because of it. He says, come to me on the strength you have, and then we'll see what everybody else always had to say about you. None of their opinions will even matter, regardless of what the hell you've done. Because look, when God qualifies you for something, that's what pisses them off the most. They have no authority over that. And that's what you got to understand. That's why, look, mega churches have come after me and told me I was going to hell, all kinds of stuff. And it hurt me, right? But I went blockety McBlockerson because you're not God. And you're just pissed off that I am finding authority in the closet with nobody else and then speaking on it. They have been labeled that by, this school board or that school board. It's not for them to decide. But that's another reason they'll try to silence you, because it freaks them out, because you're not a pulpit ambassador. You were raised in the closet. You're the prophecy coming to pass. Acts chapter, it's verse 17. It says, behold, the last days, your women and men will prophesy dreams, and your older men will, something like that, I'm paraphrasing. In the end times, your women and men will prophesy, and your old men will have dreams and visions or something like that. And that's what we're seeing now. Like with me, like what the hell would I be talking about God for? Because Lord knows I'm the last person that any other person would deem fit to even talk about God, because of the mess I used to be, and sometimes still am. God wants you to step into your calling with this training. You got to get into this like training of understanding that, first of all, you can't give a damn what these people think about you. You got to get that in your head, no matter what they say. If God qualifies you, nobody can disqualify. Nobody can be against you. Nobody. You might think they're all against you. At the end of the day, He's going to put Missy Elliott. I put my thing down, flip it in reverse, sit every time. So, regardless of what you're going through right now, if you are being called or you're being stretched in the spirit to be a key, to be a bridge in Jacob's ladder, whatever you want to call it, don't you dare think that your past is keeping you from the calling of what God is saying. Psst, hey, I put my words in your mouth. What are you doing? Don't be afraid of them. He will deliver you from them, declares the Lord. That's why we stick to the words, because the words are what? First was the Word. And the Word was with who? God. And God was the Word. Bird is the Word. You know what I'm saying? Like, the Word is so important. Just any words. That's why I say watch that bitching spirit, because that bitching spirit will call onto the serpent. Like when the Israelites were in the wilderness, they started complaining, calling onto the serpent. That's why they kept getting bit. They would get bit and die. Same thing goes for like you antagonizing yourself because you're used to being in that guilt, or you're used to being in that low frequency of woe is me, which I've been there. And you might even have a reason to be there. But why stay there? If you have a whole remedy, God will redeem you overnight. You'll go to bed tonight, tomorrow you'll be a whole new person if you believe it. The only person Christ couldn't heal is the one that didn't believe, or even all you need is a little hair of belief. Despite what anybody says about it. And when you got God on your team, you're going to have that solid foundation to where it's not going to matter. Caitlyn Jenner, whoever Jenner, I'm just using that as an example, right? Because, like, they'll hit you right where your insecurities are. You know what I mean? And it's bizarre. But I always said, at least you know my name, blah, blah, blah. A bad comment's better than none. Use whatever you got to use. Just understand that. Don't let it knock you off your throne. You've been crowned in the Spirit. Don't forget that. Regardless if you fell, regardless this or that, you were crowned in the Spirit, and you keep that memory to yourself. Hold on. Oh, shit. Hold on. You keep that memory to yourself, okay? You don't share that with nobody. Why? Because if they don't believe you, that's just like why God says fasting in private. You fast in private because he wants you to get used to it just being you and him knowing about certain things. You know, don't boast. It says to wash your face and appear that you're not starving yourself to death, because it sucks, you know, especially the first couple times you try it. You're going to be like, this is like absolutely torture. If you're doing it in a spiritual sense, or for, like, you know, Daniel, the 21-day fast, him to get his blessings from God, right? Whatever you're doing, or unless you're just doing it for, just to cleanse your gut or whatever. Either way, it's going to work, because it's going to heighten your senses, and it's going to starve out them demonic parasites that are in each and every one of us, guys. Some of us are just immune. And to the ones that are immune, you have to be speaking, because only you can reach a certain audience. Only you can speak Spanish. Only you have the melanated skin that only melanated people are going to listen to. You see what I'm saying? It don't matter if it's only one. You can only reach certain people that I can't. And God is in you. He's pushing you gently, and understanding that going through that slow burner process is, you absolutely have to. And he's telling you why, because you will get blown off the map by the hateful people and the testing that's going to come your way to try to get you to shut up. Because as long as you're not talking, everybody else is still working, not even thinking for themselves, using chat GBT or whatever whatever the hell it is. I don't even know what it's called. God wants you to use your brain. I'm not. If you use it, use it. I'm to each its own. I don't know you. Let's get that straight. So don't come for me, because I don't know you. I'm just saying he wants you to use your information, and the world wants you to use your knowledge, because it's organic. They just don't know that they're craving real yet. They just haven't. They haven't seen you yet. And once they see the organic you, that's when the full promises of God are going to come into your life, because you're being you. You're not being what Joel Osteen is, or what this person is. You are being organically you, in your native tongue, your whatever. And look, whatever your truth is, whether you do tarot cards, whatever it is, test the spirit behind it. What is the quality of your life? And that's for somebody. And I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I'm not coming with a strict religious spirit, guys. I don't know. That's why I'm telling you to test the spirit always. Anytime I come up here trying to talk about the spirit, I always test my quality of my life, right? And my brain, where I'm at. And that's why I continue to do what I do, because the quality of my life is organically somewhat decent. You know what I mean? Like, I can spread a lot of joy, but it gets dark up here. But I think that's the whole part of the duality of being sent, called, right? You're set aside. You're not supposed to, just know that if the world hated you, it hated me first. That's why you may be in addiction. You might feel that melancholy. You might think that nobody understands. That's a shitty place to be, and I've been there. And look, that's right where they want you. for you to think that nobody is ever going to understand, nobody's ever going to be able to love you because you're too damaged. Whoever has ever said that to you will burn in hell every waking day of their life, here in the physical. You're not too damaged, and no, you're not too used up, you're not too far gone, because God, He can redeem you overnight. Bless your water. What do I mean? What do you mean, Caitlin? Bless my water. How can I do? Don't I need a bishop? No. You are a child of God. You having that faith, right? Take you a bath or whatever, even the shower, and bless the water. Say, Heavenly Father, please make this water holy, and then allow me to be holy unto you after the cleanse. And it will help renew your spirit, your mind, your soul, anything bad you may have done that you're self-condemned about, your, vices or something like that. Keep you going. You got to keep going. You got to keep getting back up. Don't let one thing knock you down and keep you into that reprobate state. That's where they want you. They want you to think that I'm crazy. They want you to think that you're crazy. You're not crazy. You even having the ability to ask yourself, that's a miracle. Okay? You're not, if you ask yourself that even once, you're blessed, because you're not crazy. A real crazy person's busted moves. They're not asking themselves that. So just know that you're perfectly fine. And if you feel like you're dying, you are, to a part of your old self. So look, your body, this is something that'll help you. Your body, you might be really down and out, or just feeling just like you can't go on, right? It's your body, that old self, freaking out, kind of like the butterfly, right? When the caterpillar's in the cocoon, they don't tell you about the liquidation process and how that the caterpillar's fighting what is trying to blossom, right? Because it don't want to die. But little does it know, it's about to turn into this whole beautiful butterfly, and it never sees its wings, ever. So it never knows how beautiful it is. That's why we got to remain humble and allow your beauty to shine, and that way everybody can say, hey, God does exist, because such and such as so-and-so's daughter or son is a whole damn butterfly now. When all the odds said, all the evidence said that they would always be the caterpillar or die in the liquidation phase. Let yourself, your body say, you're safe, and you're dying to the old self like you always wanted. You always wanted that change. You always wanted things to be different. Allow yourself to be rebirthed, and that understand that your body needs to know that. Talk to your body, so your heart and your brain is all in alignment with this, because if not, you're going to freak out, and you're going to be using substances, and you're going to be a mess. Because your body is freaking out, because it's dying to its old self. It's resisting that change, that 1515. You're trying to embrace the courage to change. You've always wanted it. Whether you're a homeless person begging for change on the street, or you're in your bathroom crying and begging for change, or you're a junkie in the damn projects, it doesn't matter. Change is change. And you're gonna get there if you just let that old self die, and know that you got something brighter that's backing you up, something that's unseen. There's things that are being molded and blocked from what's taking place within you, but you need to be aware of it, so you're not spinning out, drinking and getting yourself wasted and whatever, because it happens when we're hanging on to that old self, because we're scared of the change that we begged for. Let go and surrender and accept everything. Accept yourself for that person that you was, because you survived. And tell your body sorry, and be thankful for it, because a lot of you guys have great bodies and you don't even think of it that way. I'm not talking about appearances. I'm talking about your heart functioning and you being able to get up and breathe and go about your day. And your heart posture. And look, as within, it's going to show without, okay? Just imagine it in your mind. Imagine yourself the way you want it to be in your mind as you're in this liquidation phase. Write it down. Thank the universe for, or God, whoever. Be just gratitude for who you was when you were the prostitute, or, the things that society wants to damn you for. Because it got you to the point to where you survived. To even be able to open your eyes. To be the butterfly. That liquidation phase is the whole test. And God is going to see you through it. Slowly, but surely. Sometimes it happens overnight. Sometimes it takes years. It's up to you and your belief. And imagine who you want to be. What do you want to look like? What does that person act like every day? Do they stay depressed and in bed for days? What do they dress like? Does she dress with her booty hanging out? Because look, you're going to attract that type of man that's looking for that. If you got to think of it. Think of people in the psychology. If you're looking for a high value man, what would he be looking for in a woman, right? If you're going out in your booty shorts, you're probably going to be a one-nighter, right? It's just the way it goes. And I've been like that. And then I didn't know. And when I was taught, I was like, oh, well, this makes sense. Because I didn't want, the old pervs looking at me and stuff like that. But if you're presenting yourself that way, you can't blame people for being what they are, Like, look at the ladies, the lady presidents or whatever. I don't even like talking about them, but they don't walk around half naked. They're important women. They are respected. Their body isn't to be seen by everybody. And you already have some of that integrity in you, regardless if you were ever out there in the sauce or not. Or you wouldn't be listening to me. And God's got something in you that is going to help change the trajectory of this country, if not the world. I don't care who you are right now. There might not be much to you yet, man. You might not even be a believer. But this seed, if you water it every day, little ways, whatever way you can understand it, you say, God, help me understand the way I can understand it. Like the whole prophet thing. I'm like, what the hell does this mean, God? Prophet? What? I don't understand these people and the prophets. What does a prophet even mean? I couldn't go to Google. God had to show me in my way of thinking, right? And he told me like this, just same way as homosexuality. I said, what's the big deal? If people love each other, let them love each other, right? And he said, look, the reason it's considered a sin, right, is because I'm a businessman and I create something once and it reproduces on its own. And that way you can't reproduce. That's the only thing about that as far as what he's told me. And the same thing goes for females, but that to each its own. I don't know you. But profits. He said it was like a profit that you make working, right? Like you're working, you're profiting, you're making money. It's like that. Besides, it's your profit. You're profiting for him. You're profiting for his existence, for him even being irrelevant. The turtles don't talk about God. The same spirit that risen Christ 3 days from, he defeated death. The same spirit that resided in him resides in some of you. There are children of hell. There are people that don't want it. We have free will. And that's why I say only some of you. Because some of you accepted it and asked for it. Because you already knew. Because it was already in you. You were born with it, just like Christ. Greater's I, and then greater's going to become more, greater come after me. I'm paraphrasing, but he says that somewhere in Scripture. There's going to become greater, and they're going to do greater works than I, or something like that. And that is you. Okay? There's a lot more to the womb, the portal of the womb, than what they've taught us in school. There's something else that can happen in there. And it's not just 50-50. Because some of you guys can look at your parents and be like, how could I even come from that wicked womb? Or whatever. But you still have to honor them because it was still a sacrifice to even get you here for her body and everything else. If you look at it that way, regardless if she did a good job raising you or not, or if she abandoned you or not, look at it that way, because that'll help you from carrying that sin. That, and God says it's a sin because it burdens your soul. It makes you feel unworthy because you were the motherless child or the fatherless child. That's, honor them and keep it rolling. Let the dead bury the dead and keep it rolling. Just because so-and-so is your mom and dad does not mean you are not an heir of Christ himself. Telekinesis or something like that. It's something like that in the womb, okay? And it's like a telephone, something like that, but it's something. I don't know what something. You guys look it up after I get off here. Telekinesis or something like that happens within the DNA. And look up telephone, right? What we're doing here. There's something that transfers there too that can help you understand what you are and who you are and why this is a thing and how it can make sense to your 21st century brain. You know what I'm saying? Because some people, it's hard for them to understand, therefore they can't step into the calling. Ask, and he will give you every question, everything you can ever imagine. But you have to be patient and know the virtues of being patient, because you are not a sellout. You're seeking first the kingdom of heaven and all his righteousness, and then the rest is going to be added unto you, and you're still going to have your soul. You're going to be sitting among your table's going to be in the presence of your enemies, and they're going to be wondering, how the hell are you how are you sitting there? We're soulless and we have all our stuff, but you have all this stuff and you still have your soul. That's because you're a child of God and you start from the bottom and you allowed him to work your way to the top. That stands for something. And you're going to be blessed. You already are. You just might not know it yet. And I'm just testing the frequency. And that was the frequency tonight for some of you guys, all right? And I love you guys. I hope you guys received this. Hopefully I had a good connection. And I am closing out for the night, you guys. Get started. Get in your closet and just relax. None of us make it out of here alive. None of us. Peace. Stay up and not too late. Take it easy. Take care of yourself.